Picture a sailor bound in heavy rope, plunged beneath a ship's barnacle-encrusted bottom, where the ocean itself became an instrument of retribution. This was no myth. This was keelhauling, a maritime punishment so dreaded that its mere mention struck fear into the hearts of European naval forces. Keelhauling wasn't conceived as mindless brutality, it fulfilled a calculated, practical function, maintaining order through intimidation. During an era when rebellion could topple kingdoms and destroy naval authority, sanctions had to be so terrifying that their reputation alone ensured compliance. The first recorded instances emerged from Dutch naval documentation in the mid-17th century. Leefpieters. Verschuier's renowned artwork, circa 1660 to 1686, housed in Amsterdam's Rijksmuseum, dramatically depicts this punishment occurring on Admiral Jan van Nesse's vessel. The Dutch term keelhalen, to haul along the keel, captures the essence of this ordeal. Dutch maritime forces implemented keelhauling for serious violations, abandonment of duty, rebellion, battlefield cowardice, or assaulting superior officers. This practice functioned simultaneously as individual retribution and collective warning, existing where naval discipline met absolute terror. Keelhauling followed a systematic, calculated approach. The convicted seaman was secured with heavy cordage, frequently weighted to prevent buoyancy. Dual rope systems were positioned beneath the vessel's keel and fastened to the victim. The condemned would then be pulled from port to starboard, directly under the ship's hull. This underwater passage was excruciating. Maritime vessels accumulated dense layers of shellfish and oceanic debris, transforming the hull's underside into a field of organic blades. While crew members hauled the sailor through churning waters, his flesh was shredded against the razor-sharp surface. Oxygen was impossible to obtain. Submersion, confusion, and hydraulic pressure frequently caused victims to become unconscious or experience violent spasms. Should the prisoner survive the initial drag, additional passes might follow. Naval physicians occasionally attended to resuscitate sailors between hauls, not from compassion, but to guarantee continued punishment. Pirates maintained their own savage regulations. When buccaneers employed keelhauling, it typically addressed treachery, betrayal, desertion, or theft from shipmates. Bartholomew Roberts commanded through rigid codes demanding extreme penalties. Though keelhauling isn't specifically documented in his articles, maritime records suggest its use for ultimate betrayals. The psychological trauma inflicted on observing crews was immense. Keelhauling conveyed supreme dominance through potential destruction. Death wasn't guaranteed, but suffering was certain. Those who survived bore permanent disfigurement, sepsis, and psychological scars. Seawater intensified wounds, while infection was virtually unavoidable in pre-antibiotic times. Fatalities often resulted not from drowning but from traumatic shock or ensuing disease. The true horror resided not in disorder but in systematic control, converting the vessel into a torture device. Even within maritime discipline's harsh realm, keelhauling ultimately exceeded acceptable limits. As Enlightenment philosophy began influencing military practices during the late 17th and early 18th centuries, methods previously considered essential faced examination. Dutch authorities pioneered keelhauling's elimination by the early 1700s, substituting more regulated, less deadly consequences like lashing or imprisonment. Buccaneers discarded this practice for swifter execution techniques as piracy's golden era waned. During the 19th century, vessels grew more sophisticated, crews became more trained, and regulations more standardized. Naval organizations adopted systematic disciplinary frameworks featuring documented penalty records and formalized military tribunals. Keelhauling's discontinuation marked a transformation toward law-based rather than fear-based discipline. As Italian philosopher Cesare Beccaria observed in 1764, the certainty of a small punishment will make a stronger impression than the fear of one more severe. This evolution from barnacle-scraped keels to structured legal codes fundamentally altered humanity's perception of maritime authority. The transition demonstrates how punishment methods shape civilizations, moving from spectacle-driven terror to regulated justice systems. The practice exposed how naval power once depended on dramatic displays of violence, creating submission through intimidation and permanently marking maritime history. Its elimination proved that effective discipline could emerge from consistent legal frameworks rather than unpredictable brutality. Modern naval justice systems reflect this philosophical shift, emphasizing rehabilitation over retribution, due process over arbitrary punishment, and human dignity over fear-based compliance. The journey from keelhauling savage theaters to contemporary military courts illustrates humanity's gradual recognition that lasting authority stems from justice, not terror. This dark chapter of seafaring history serves as a reminder that progress often requires abandoning practices once deemed necessary, proving that societies advance not by perfecting cruelty, but by transcending it entirely. The transformation from terror-based maritime discipline to codified naval law represents one of humanity's crucial steps towards civilized governance at sea.